All right. Hello, hello. We should be live. How is everybody this week? I've had a busy week. Let's see. I've done a lot of art this week, which has been thoroughly enjoyable. Um, enjoyable. I have thoroughly enjoyed. Yes, we'll just say it that way. Hello, Jacqueline Turbot is here, and George Pencil Art is here. Thank you for joining me today, and Tara. Okay. Hello, hello. Let's see. And I have like big old crazy hair today. All good on your side. Okay, great. We are good to go. So today, I thought I've had this, how about that way? I've had this Sketchbox sitting here in the studio for quite some time. And I ordered it because I wanted to give Sketchbox a try. And they had actually sent me something asking if I wanted to be part of their brand ambassador program that they were going to offer. Which, of course, I said, excuse me, I would love to. But I wanted to try their, I wanted to try a Sketchbox first. So I did purchase this with my own money, so I just put that out there. They have accepted me to their brand ambassador program, which is, wow, it just right away. Anyhow. Yeah, I'm forgetting what they're calling the program. It's brand new. But anyways, so I am a part of that. I am considering starting to get Sketchbox. But this was a pass box. Again, I did purchase it with my own money. And because it interested me, because you guys know already, I've shown you Brusho. I've shown you I'm forgetting their name. I have them right here. The Color Burst. The Color Burst powders. I shared those here on the channel. And that's actually what I used to create, if you saw my post on Instagram and the artwork that I created in the thumbnail for this video, that was created with the color burst, the ones I just showed you, that I have shown you previously. And my little roundabout here is in the wrong spot. Just knew what I'm grabbing, stuff I know I'm gonna need. So anyways, we're gonna dive right in, because I want to have plenty of time to be able to answer any questions that you guys might have, and show you the fun things that I have not shown you before that I learned just messing around with these powders. And as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, I have to share this with you guys. I have to show you, because it was a lot of fun. And you guys can't see the desk, so let's just move down to the desk real quick. Okay, so full view. So this was artwork. I would assume this was their artist of that month. Sorry, and that she created this artwork using the powders. But let's take a look inside. So these were the two pieces of artwork, before we do, that I had in my thumbnail. And I created these with watercolor powders. And when I was doing it, it was like, excuse me, I said, in creating it, like, I was trying different things because I wanted to see what kind of effects I could get. And then this happened. And as soon as I saw this, I thought, oh, that would be perfect to do seafoam. And so that led me to, because I love seascapes. They're one of my favorite things. I absolutely love, eventually I will achieve the perfect wave. But anyhow, I thought it would be perfect to do one of these. And so I had to try it, which was this project here. And I love the way worked. So I thought, you know what? I have that Sketchbox that I know has watercolor powders in it. Why don't we do that on Thursday? And so that's how we came to today. So I'm just going to set those aside. And if you guys have not seen it already, the video, let me see if I can get me on screen here. There we go. So if you have not seen the video, let's see, Teresa says, hi all, I can't stay. Oh, excellent. Okay, well have a great afternoon, Teresa, and thanks for stopping by. So, the, sorry. Like, just 2 minutes before the stream was supposed to start, I looked over and realized I had been creating, I forgot to change out my water wells. Yeah. So I was running to do that. So of course now, because I was running, did not grab my inhaler as I was down there, and now I'm coughing. But it'll settle as soon as I settle. The, sorry. The challenge video. I got mine done. Whew. If you guys haven't seen that. So those were my 5-minute watercolor landscape paintings. And then, you know, now that that's all said and done, I am sitting here going, oh, I have an idea that would be so easy to do in 5 minutes. Yeah. Now I think of it. But regardless, this was so much fun. If you haven't seen that video, do check it out. It was a blast. And yes, the gauntlet has been thrown and it has been accepted. So Joseph, who I haven't seen yet, but I'm sure he will be here. Joseph is accepted the challenge to do the 5-minute watercolor landscape. And thank you. I am so glad that you threw that out there, because I had so much fun. I just had so much fun doing this. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully Joseph will have as much fun as I did. And I loved George's comment on the video. It's like, right? It was George. I'm like, hold on, Rob? Yeah, no, Rob was something different. So yeah, George's comment, George Pencil Art, when he said he enjoyed the 5-minute stress test. Yeah, it was stressful, that's for sure. But I love the way I'm going to be working, trying this some more, because the way that I got like the look of the rain coming down, I really want to try that some more. And then, of course, that was my no reference photo. Let's go. And how is that? Like, how cool did that come out? Like, it just grew and it just grew itself there. That little happy little tree was just like, I need to be right here, and created itself. Because if you saw the video, you'll see, or you have seen how that happened. And I was just like, okay, am I going to be able to duplicate that? So today I'm actually going to pop this. I need to replace the batteries in my little topiary, because this is the one I'm really excited about doing today, is another beach scene, and see how we can kind of create that with the colors that are in this box. So in the Sketchbox, which they come, the shape of the box is so different. I thought, well, how the heck do they get a surface in there for you? Because this is the Premier box, and you can order these. In fact, this exact box is still available to purchase. So if you see this and you just love it, I mean, there are links in the description below. But if you see this and you love it and you want to get some of this for yourself, it is still available. So in this box, there is the Sketchbox Premium box, which again, this was the Premium box. And it shows you exactly what is going to be in that box and what their retail values would be. So just to leave that on the screen there for a moment so that you can check that out. And I have linked to the Portofino, right? Yeah, Portofino, the cotton pad that's in here that I'm going to use today. And the, as far as the Rembrandt watercolor, I just linked to the white, like titanium white watercolor. Also Dr. P.H. Martin's, because I love Dr. P.H. Martin's. I don't know. We'll see how I feel about this. And if I update that, it'll probably be up with Blick, because it wasn't available on Amazon at this time anyways. You know, that thing can change like in a second. So, and then the color sparks, you can get some of the color sparks from Amazon, but these are actually Sketchbox signature watercolor powders. So those you would actually purchase from Sketchbox directly. Hello, Starving Artist Collective. Good morning. It is morning for you. So there we go. We have the Rembrandt, the watercolor, which is, again, titanium white. So there's that one. Look at that. So see, that's how they fit it in there. It's just a little tiny pad, right? Gummed on one side. Pad, not block. And this has, it's 100% cotton, 140 pound watercolor paper. This has 15 sheets. It is hot pressed. So I'm really curious how this is going to work versus the other that I created. Well, this of course was on my absolute favorite paper in the whole world because I just took a sheet of the Canson XL, and I hope that definitely for those of you who are not familiar with the channel and this is your first video, that was some serious sarcasm. Sincere sarcasm. That would be like an oxymoron. Anyways. So this was done on cold press paper, and as was the tree that I showed you. So the tree that I did, and I was wishing I wouldn't have worked this one as much as I did. If I would have just like, because as I was watching, because I recorded the video of it, and as I was watching that on the replay, I was like, oh, you should have just stopped touching it right there. Do you guys do that? I do that all the time. Like, I'll be going through and then go, if only I would have stopped there. So having that restraint, yeah. All right. I'm running out of places behind me. So of course the 5-minute challenge, that stuff is up. But look at this. And I'm going to try to show you guys today too, because so the artist, and this was done by Cara Rosalie Olsen. And so there is all, if you want to check her out on Instagram. Worked with Sketchbox and created this. That is beautiful. I don't do a lot of florals. I don't know if you guys are interested in florals. I personally don't do a lot of florals. But I am going to show you with the technique that I'm going to use today with these, you can do some pretty interesting florals. So the focus today is going to be on letting it paint itself. Kinda. Sort of. There is a Copic liner. I didn't link this. Will I use this today? I'm not sure. This is a 0.5 and it is purple. Pretty positive that it's actually purple. Yes. We might. Oh, and their little, oh, look at that. So their sticker for the Sketchbox was the watercolor powder. That's cute. I put it in. I have like a bag full of stickers. What do you do with, like, what do you do with them? I have yet to find one. Like, I am not a person who will put stickers like on my computer. There's just something about the amount of money that I spent on my MacBook and me wanting to put stickers all over it. I just kind of don't. Hello, Joseph. And excuse me. So yeah, I have like this whole bag is like full of stickers. I'm like, I don't know. See, like there's a little, that was a palette from a Powerful Pack box, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, I don't know what to do with them. I just stick them in there for now. Eventually, maybe I'll find some young artist who loves to put stickers on stuff. Here is, so they have given us a, this is a Sketchbox they have certain brushes that are like their brand. And so this is a very small Filbert. It is a Filbert 4 Sketchbox Signature brushes, and that is a Filbert 4. Will I use it today? Maybe. We'll see. And so these, okay, so interesting. In relation to, I can give you a good comparison. So this is the Color Sparks. So this one is Color Sparks, and it is Bougainville. Focus for me. And something has gotten pigment somewhere. Wow. No? There it goes. So, oh, Villa. Anyhow, something has gotten pigment on me already. Probably when I touched this one. Or one of these is, possibly leaking. I don't know. So there's these 3 more, and that's it. Our box is empty. I'm going to set it to the side. It will now be recycled. There's the culprit right there. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yep, that's the one. Because that's all. See that? Lovely. I'm going to actually just kind of make sure these are tightened. That one's tightened down. All right, Joseph, have you given, now that I see that Joseph is here, have you given more thought to what you will do for your challenge? Are you ready for this? So much fun. It was so much fun. Yeah, it's this one, which was apparently loose. So how much of that has gone? Well, it's like down to here in that container. You can almost see that right through the. And these are, I can't even tell. If these are full, I'm going to check. But if these are full, then this is missing like half of its contents. These all look pretty full up. This one, not so much. Half of it is lost in the box and who knows where else. So, while disappointing, yeah, I can see it. It's like all in the lid. It's going to be horrible trying to take that lid off and deal with this, but we will do it. I'm going to be a mess. Okay, I'm just like trying to get some of this off. That's going to be not fun at all, to deal with. You see how much is like up in that cap and around the threads of the cap. I'll be opening that over like a palette for sure. Because yeah, half that bottle's missing. So fun. Too many ideas. Oh, right. Oh, I have an idea for you. I'll share. I'll message you. I have an idea for you. For that. Who I think you could and that would. Well, you could help me encourage who I would like to see do the challenge. Because if you've watched that video, I shared who I thought would be great at the challenge. And I still absolutely believe that she would have no problems finishing in 5 minutes. But the person I would like to see do it, you could help me encourage her, because that would be fun to see her do that. And I also, though, have somebody in mind that you could do that would probably answer the call, if you would. I thought it was fun. I thought it was fun to keep it going, and who knows where it would go from there, and who it passes on to. And I don't even think Emma probably didn't even have this in mind when she did it. Like, oh, somebody will do it and pass it on, and they'll pass it on. Like, but we have, and so yay. All right, so there were the supplies that were in the sketch box. Again, I'm going to absolutely lose track of where I put my box, apparently. Excuse me. Wow. Oh, your next portraits. Oh, all of you portrait artists, like, I tip my hat to you, because while I can and have done them, they're absolutely, like, they would be at the bottom of my list of what I want to create, because I put so much pressure on myself. I put so much pressure on myself to start with. But to then doing a portrait of somebody is like, you know, I'm not their plastic surgeon. I shouldn't be altering how they look. You would. That's how I see it too. I'm like, oh my gosh. What if they look at it and they're like, really? You think my nose looks like that? You know? Or, anyways. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to take a couple pieces off of this pad. And this is watercolor. Watercolor. Of course, it's watercolor paper. But this is cotton paper. So I'm really curious. Now, I do have some extra sheets of when I did the quartered that sheet of Canson. I have some more of those sitting here. And I will probably do some on that, just because it's quick and fun, and it's not going to be something that I'm precious about or that I really care. But I do want to try out this paper. So I'm definitely going to do the seascape on here. So I'm going to take one off for that, for sure. All right, so that I'm going to tape down. I'm going to set this aside. So just for those of you who want a closer look, that is the paper. I am really curious for the hot press paper now. With this, I think I'm going to try some pencils on that. And I haven't done pencil work for you guys, but that will be coming to the channel before too long, because I have a ton of pencils. So, yes. Oh, yeah, for sure, Tara. Like, when you're doing, speaking of creating, like, portraits, yes. Like, will they like it? For sure. I don't know. Again, will they think, it's not what I look like? Or you think that's what I look like? I don't even know. All right, so I just have a ceramic plate, of course. And actually, these are frames. I got this at the dollar store. So it's from the Dollar Tree. And they actually have like, I could stand it up. So I could write on this, like, with my markers, my alcohol markers or whatever. Put a little message on it, set it up, change the message as I want to. I thought they were cute, but I was like, you know what I'm going to use it for? And I'm surprised I haven't actually, like, ripped this piece off yet, because I just wanted it for the plate. I've been searching forever for one that was just like a plate. Excuse me. And, wow. Anyways, I've been searching for one that was just a plate. I have a couple. You've seen me use them before. I love to use this. I love to use the ceramic because it doesn't bead. When I put my, what I just saw Starbucks comment out of the corner of my eye. So anyways, when I put watercolor on, it doesn't bead up, which drives me crazy. And then last night, I was bit by the suggestion. Lindsay, you got me again. Because Lindsay had suggested something and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Let me go put that order in. I was like, you're not going to get more things until you've shown them all the things. Because there are so many things in here. I have a list, like this huge list, of things I need to show you. But I haven't shown you yet. And, yeah. So I got more coming. Wow. All right. Going to, again, I'm just grabbing one of my mats. I'm going to tape this down. That, like, see, it's from being in that box because that powder got everywhere, so it's actually on the top sheet. That might mess up my, it might mess up my painting. And I don't know if it's sized on both sides. I don't know about this paper, so hopefully I will try to make sure it's brushed away as much as possible, and because I can see it on my hand again. I know it was there. I'm like dipping my fingers in my, I feel like, you know, when you go to like a Japanese restaurant and they come around and they have like the water and the towels and, no, just me. Anyways, see, look at that. And that was just like wiping. This is going to be so, this is going to be so bad. So that's the one thing about working with watercolor powders. It is a powder that gets everywhere. So many places. All right, and I'm just using my regular artist tape today. In fact, I think I had it linked and then I removed it because I don't know why. I was thinking I'm not going to be using that today. I don't know why I would think that. So this is not the Holbein soft tape, but if this was something that I was precious about, or I wanted to like, oh, I might really want to use that for something or save that for something, I would use my Holbein soft tape. Because I just know it's not going to let the water and pigment underneath my tape, and it's going to give me a really nice finish. So, yeah, Holbein soft tape, huge fan. I need to get a page set up on my website that's like all of my favorite supplies. It's on the list of things to do that hopefully, I also came up with a new working schedule this week. So hopefully that's going to bring changes where you might actually know what I'm doing in a live stream days before I do it. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And Joseph won't be sitting there wondering, is she going live today? I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything. I don't know. And I say Joseph because like Tara will message me. Are you going on? Are you going to be live today? Excuse me. And Joseph is probably like, I show up in those streams. All she does is talk. I'm not messaging her. I don't have that much time in my day. I'm kidding. Oh my gosh. I'm kidding. I just love hanging out with you guys though. All right, so for, like, I'm going to actually, because I want to do two more, so I'm going to use the Canson, not linked in the description because do not recommend. You guys are going to see me use it a bit though, because I have got some Canson paper to use up, but unless I find the medium that I go, this is fantastic. I don't know. Then maybe you would see, but I'm not sure. Well, you're gonna be busy for a few weeks. Oh, and then everybody has like back to school now, right? Isn't that coming? Like, I'm like, wait a minute, it's the end of August. So I know when I was way back when I was a kid, we always started the Tuesday after Labor Day. We never went before Labor Day. I was like, what's up with these kids going back to school in August? How? Like, why? Poor kids. Parents are probably like, you be quiet. We want them going back to school in August, and you let it be that way. Don't give anybody ideas. I don't know. See, I tell you folks, if you've ever considered creating YouTube videos and you worry about your ability to talk, and this is, see, we now know Joseph probably doesn't talk to himself. Because those of us who talk to ourselves can carry on a conversation kind of with ourselves. I mean, you know, I'm talking to the camera. Obviously I'm talking to you guys. I'm not crazy. Not that much. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. No, Joseph, you ready? So that's hilarious. I need to address what you just said because I said the same thing. Oh, sorry. Like having a day. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna, just a second, that's going up on the screen for everybody to see because we need to address this. You know, yeah, clearly I have been my entire life blessed with the gift of gab, if you would. At least that's how it's politely been put many a time. Yeah. No, I don't get anxious about it at all. No, I'm not self-conscious. Oh, George, that's hilarious. So, I have to share about that too. Okay. Let me just address this and we will jump right into creating, and which is going to happen fast when it starts. So, stay tuned. You don't want to miss it. You'll blink, the art will be over, but I'll still be here chatting with you. So anyway. Oh my gosh. So Joseph, that video, I took all of my video and imported it into my editing program. And I think I messaged Tara because I was like, son of a... I don't know. Like when she did hers, well, I recorded everything that I did. So each attempt that I made, I had recorded it. So I'm like, only me could import all of that video, and it's an hour and 17 minutes. It's a 5-minute art challenge. And it was funny because I told Lou, I was like, I'm going to go record that 5-minute art challenge, so I'll probably see you in an hour and a half to 2 hours. And he was just kind of like, 5-minute art challenge? 2 hours? I was like, you never know. So, yeah. And I was like, okay, so only me, right? But I did share. Now, mind you, I shared four attempts that was 4 5-minute tries. We won't discuss the fact that I sped those up to help shorten the video. But I talked about how the challenge came to me, and then, you know, what I took away from the challenge, which I hope people did find valuable, because I did learn quite a bit from doing it, and I was, you know, don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen the video, but anyhow, I learned some things. So, sorry. So it was talking about that too. Yeah. So George, you say that there will be times that I will be like within earshot of Lou, and I'll be doing something and he'll be like, what? Like thinking I said something to him. I'm like, oh, no, I wasn't talking to you. He's like, were you talking? I'm like, oh yeah, I just wasn't talking to you. I was talking to myself. So yeah, I do that all the time. Yeah, so I do that all the time. See, no, not me. I carry on, like, yeah. Oh, Tara, you're going through moving. Yeah, starving definitely can feel with you or relate to you on that one. That's funny. Yeah. See? I'm just like, I wish. Sometimes I'm just like, you don't need to, no, that's not important. No, that's not important. Just cut that out. It's horrible. Editing is horrible for me. It's horrible. It is definitely, it's definitely a process. All right, so in the first things I'm going to have to do, I have the last scrap of paper that I had here. I'm actually going to use this. Now this one here, I know because it's actually 4 inches, whereas these are, the Canson is slightly larger. than 4, like maybe 4.5, if that. But, so this is the cotton paper from the box. I'm going to start there because these are going to need some dry time, which I can. I do have my heat tool here, so I can dry them. I think I would probably have to mute you guys while I do that, but I can dry them. I'm going to grab my number 6, and this is linked below, the Princeton Heritage. I'm actually really surprised at how much I'm liking this brush. So this has kind of been, I'll have to do a new, like, hey, here's the way my art studio is now, because it's very different from the last time I did a tour. Oh my gosh, so do I. So do I. That is like the worst. And it's funny because I actually went to school for that. Like, I have a college degree in this. Like, I have, yeah. No. Media production, like that was, I went to school for it. No, let's let it look like I went to school for it instead of some of the stuff that's coming out. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so I don't know how about this filbert, but I am rinsing the sizing out of it that would be in it from when it shipped. Excuse me. Man, needs to stop today. Okay. I know it was running. It was because I was just about to click to go live. As I'm reaching and looking right there, I was like, oh, my water was filthy. And I could have just kind of sloughed them off to the side and grabbed different, but I had to run and go change it. Anyhow. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. It's hilarious, George. Oh my goodness. Right? It's just a staff meeting. That's right, Dylan. Hello, welcome to the stream. That is wonderful. Yeah, I'm in a staff meeting. Can't you tell? We're all sitting here talking. We are all. Oh, is that bad? You want to talk about straitjackets, George? I don't know. Start talking about myself as we. Maybe that could be in trouble. But you know what? No. No, Joseph, no. I am proof positive right here that, no. Speak when spoken to. Nope. It didn't work. Oh. Yes, I did. I loved it. I love that. I saw that you shared in the art group. Purple and green, some of my favorite colors. So, okay, let's get to this. So I'm going to take this dangerously pigment everywhere. And actually, I think I want it in its own space. Excuse me. I may need... See, it sounds like a kitchen up here. It's like when I worked at the restaurant. You get plates clinking and clanking. No, just pallets. All right, I'm just going to put a bigger one out here just so that, because I know I'm going to need room. I have my scrap paper kind of to the side so that I can test stuff on, because I need to figure out what is going to make me, oh, this is just absolutely horrible. Okay, I really hope that Sketchbox does see this video, because that, I haven't even, that's just getting the lid off. It's everywhere. And like I said, this container, because I can see by my lights, it's only here. It's not that full. It's everywhere, and who knows where it was before it landed in the box that I got. So yeah, I'm going to now that I think about that, I should have put it on the little plate, because I can absolutely, I could take this. Try not to get powder in the air. Because it feels like I did. I could take this lid off and put that back in there. Wow. Alright, so what I'm going to do, this was from when I did my bird. I'm actually going to do this. Sorry, guys. I had no way of knowing that it was going to be chaos. But I do want to see what this color is, so what's left on this plate. What do we do? I feel like I can hand some of that. Okay. And I'm just gonna now I can just deal with that later. And I don't have a bunch of powder or loose, pigment sitting about. You do have to be careful with that. Excuse me. Oh, really? That is excellent, Starving. I better not do that. This is grape pigment powder or watercolor powder. I was like, oh, if I don't put a note to myself, I'll go, oh, what was this paper? And I'll open it up and it'll be like, and it'll go everywhere in the studio. Probably all over me. Okay. So hopefully that'll be better. Hopefully. And I want to see what color that grape is. So first, let's just see what our colors look like, because that's going to be important for how we do this. So this is such an easy technique. I could not believe I'm just going to put that down. Getting this all wet. Oh, so it says grape, but that does not look, you see the color there. Does not look very, what I would consider grape, like more purple. But I guess if you think like a red grape, it could be like that. Like when a red grape is ripe, it's quite dark. Ooh, look at that. That is pretty though. That is a pretty color. Okay. I'm going to keep that over here. I can kind of corral it a little bit. I have not been, because, we don't have one like right here where I live. It's quite rural. We're just a small little town. So there's not a lot in our town. Usually we have to go like, I laugh. I go to the city maybe once a month. And when I do, I'm like, I have to get everything done. I don't want to come back here. Because I don't like to go there often, which is funny because I used to live in the city. When I was down in Virginia, well, not exactly where George is, but not far from where George is. We were in like the center of 7 cities. And it was very busy. I don't miss it. I do not miss it, not one bit. Not one bit. So I want to see 2 ways that I'm going to do these. So one, right, I want to just kind of drop it in. So this is orange. So I had grape, orange, turquoise, navy blue, and bougainvillea. Anyways, I showed you in the beginning how it looked. Did I like miss the marker? Did that just totally already absorb that water? All right, so interesting. And I want to see Those are going to blend, but that's okay. That's fine. And then I need some water on the paper. And put a little bit of this orange into it and mix it around. That was way more than a little bit. Yeah, I'm probably going to pick some of that up and put it on the palette because I know I'm going to be needing some of that. The whole point was I wanted to see how it looked when it was a very light color. And I just went to the wrong. Do you guys do that? I'll set up like, this is my clean water. This is my dirty water. If I would use the same container every time, I probably wouldn't make a mistake. Because the one I wanted for my clean water, well, usually I use my rinse well for my clean water because then should I get it dirty, I can just hit the button. And just like that, I have clean water again. I don't know where the blue dot came from. It's probably, but I guess it's in here. There's something in there that's blue. You see the color right there, or that was on the plate from the grape. I don't know. Excuse me. I need beach sand. So I'm looking for beach sand. Oh my gosh, because it's so much fun, George. Has to be. It has to be the answer. The answer has to be because it's so much fun to paint with. It's so much fun to use. I don't know. And to say like this is a watercolor powder, I think more. I think that pigment powder would be a better term, if you would. I don't know. I don't know what else is mixed in with the pigment. And then in a powder form to create these. I'm not sure. I am super excited because if I am not mistaken, share some news there. I don't know if you guys have heard, but I definitely follow, because you guys know I love Daniel Smith paints. And if I'm not mistaken, Daniel Smith is going to be coming out with some, okay, sorry, I just need to turn that. It was not. The water wasn't coming out on my rinse well. So I believe Daniel Smith is going to be coming out, I want to say November, of course, just in time for the holidays, with some, and I don't know if they called theirs pigment powders or watercolor powder. And I am seeing some interesting things happening right there with on the palette with this grape. You see that. So yeah, George, they're just fun. I don't know. I know you do pencil work, but do you use watercolor? Do you have watercolor? Obviously I love watercolor. You guys see me use it all the time. But, all the same. So, and I just need just a little tiny bit. Little bit. Look how dark, look how green that is. So that is this says navy blue, but to me, I mean, that just looks so teal. So teal. This is my water's gonna be filthy. And I'm sorry, I would not say there's anything navy about that, but that's just my opinion. I still love the color, which again, it doesn't matter. I don't care what you call the color. If I like the color, I'm going to use the color. So that's just my personal take on it. I can tell you, we're going to have some interesting ocean water. That's going to be excellent. I thought for sure it'd be turquoise. Right? See, that's what, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yes. They're fugitive. That's why I'm really excited that Daniel Smith could be getting into the market of making some of these, because I have to wonder if they're going to use the same pigments that they use for all their other watercolors. Are they then going to have light fast qualities to a watercolor powder, if you would? Because that I could get really excited about. All these others that I have, Brusho, especially Color Sparks, because I contacted the company. They sent me those. And when I contacted the company, they you'd think I was trying to, like I was trying to get trade secrets. I didn't want to know how you made it. I just wanted to know, one, if pigment information was available. Two, if they were, like Starving just said, a dye base, or if the pigment was like a pigment like is used in our, and I mean the pigment, I would think the pigment is the pigment is the pigment. But no, because some of the dyes are very fugitive and ooh. So turquoise is going to be interesting too. These are a lot of fun. Oh, I just want to see that one more time. I want to see that when it's like tapped into a wet wash, because we may just tap. I'm also, this is letting me know which ones I want to show you. Oh wow, we'll just watch that kind of do its thing. They're so much fun. Oh really? Okay, so yeah, that's a great question, Tara. So George said that he only tried watercolor a couple times, and then Tara asked, "Did you like it? What did you think of it?" Because that's important. Like if you didn't like it, obviously you weren't going to continue with the medium. And I got to tell you, when I first started with it, it intimidated the crap out of me. Like, I'm just going to blend this one here now. Okay, now see, look at that. Did they label it wrong? Because, guys, this one says turquoise. This one says navy blue. Like, did the labels go on wrong? Is somebody like, oh, this will be funny, watch this, we're going to switch our labels in the box? I don't, I'm just, I'm sure not. I'm sure not. But, I don't know. You drop me a comment, you let me know. That looks a lot more navy to me. That looks a lot more turquoise to me. It's just the way my eyes see it. So, interesting. Interesting. Okay. I'm like thinking about how we're going to do the water, because that could be fun. That could be a lot of fun. I think we're going to try and use both. You know how as you get like closer to where the waves are, you get more of like that turquoise look. So we're going to use the navy blue for that part. And further back, you get more of like that blue, that warmer blue. And we're going to use the turquoise, which I'm sorry, I think those are labeled wrong. Yeah, see, that's what I'm thinking too, Cat's Art Picks, because that's, I don't know. But one last one to try. And so now I'm wondering, I need to try to blend these real quick to see, can these give me a color that we will like for the beach? Because that's where we have to start. We start with the beach first. The beach comes first when you do one of these paintings. And I encourage you guys to give this a try, because if you're somebody who gets maybe intimidated by painting seascapes, this is such a fun, easy, it happens quick. And for me, I used to get so stressed about, that just like, well, why don't we just tap you right out of the cap there? Put some right there too. All right, so that is like, ooh, I'm just kind of getting everything off that was on the outside. All right, so this is the Color Sparks, and that is going to be more reddish color, pink. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. This is good. So if I'm thinking flowers, then excuse me. And this test is just to see the reaction I'm going to get, so that when we go in, I can make sure I give you the correct steps for how to do what I did before. Okay. And I also want to test one other thing. And then I just have to blend those two colors to see, will they give us a beach color? And I always grab too much salt, and then I'm like, where do I put it? I used to have a little container that's actually, oh, wait a minute. I keep it, so the salt that I keep in my watercolor travel bag is actually, used to be, it would sit here on my desk. And when I would get too much salt, then I would just take that little container and put it in there. And then that became like, oh, why don't I just take that container and throw it in my travel bag, because then I have it if I wanted it. But I'm going to be using salt a few times, so okay. It is. Now, that is a great point, George, because that is why I picked up watercolor. I was perfectly happy doing acrylic, and I probably would have just done acrylic and colored pencil for long time. Oh my God, what I would have missed out on. Because I decided that I wanted to, so right here while I'm talking to you guys, I'm just going to mix some of this one and this one, which I have both on my palette here, and that's why I put them there first, because I wanted to see what I could, as far as the color, what they would mix to. And look at how this has it settled. It's like this darker, almost blue greenish tone up here kind of stayed, and everything else is like running away from it. So what that pigment, whichever one that is heavier because it has settled, grabbed onto the plate, and the rest of the water and everything just kind of ran away. So I had that yellow in there. All right. I'm mixing the yellow and that one, which was the grape, because I want to see. Excuse me. All right, that might do it. I'm gonna have to be really careful though, because it is gonna need very little on the grape, I would imagine, and more on the orange. But purple and orange are opposites, so I suspected we would get a brown or black color. So yeah, perfect. Perfect. And that is wonderful. So, and look at what it's doing. That looks great. All right. And now, yes, I know we've done a lot of chatting and testing in the first half, but I assure you, this goes quickly. We are going to get through three pieces of artwork that you can do that's just fun. So whether you like florals or if trees make you crazy, I'm going to show you a really fun way to do the tree, like the tree that I did. And what started was I just wanted to make some crazy tree. I didn't care like what the top looked like. I was like, oh yeah, all kinds of colors. I'm thinking fall, right? Because actually, guys, it is, well, it's 79 today. I'm freezing. I actually have like long sleeves on. But my apple trees are like, they're getting there. It's going to be probably another few weeks and we'll be picking apples. So that's fall. And I just thought that, to me, like, that could just be like an apple tree. What ended up coming out. Was not my intent when I started. It was absolutely not my intent. But you want to talk about a happy little tree. It was a happy little accident. That one, which actually led to all of the stuff in today's video. So you never know. Experiment. Play with stuff. Push it. See what you can do. You never know what's going to happen. Let's see. I'm just double checking real quick. Oh, good luck with that, Cat's Art Picks. That's awesome. Congratulations. Well, hopefully congratulations are in order. That sounds wonderful. Excellent. I hate moving, but if somebody was like, oh, hey, here's this, house right on the water, right at the ocean, it's yours, I would be like, start packing. Let's go. Start packing. We're moving, like, tomorrow. Sorry, guys, I won't be here for 2 weeks. And I'll be like, I am moving. Okay. Oh, thank you. So, yeah. And I was just like, and then I got some water, there's some spots that landed on in a weird way. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make vines like climbing up the tree. It's whatever. It was whatever it was. It was just, it became whatever it wanted to be. But that is my point. Oh, yeah. I would absolutely be ready in a heartbeat. Um, but that's my point, and that is the point of today. And that was my point with George, is watercolor. Like, that was the reason I sought watercolor out, because I knew I was watching someone work in watercolor, and I just thought, I don't know, like, that just looks to me like I don't have the control in that. I don't know. And of course, when I first started painting with watercolor, like, I just wanted to paint with it like it was acrylic, and I was painting like I would with acrylic. You can't. I mean, you can try. You're not going to get all of the. If you try to impose the control that acrylic provides on watercolor, you can paint that way, but I don't think you're ever going to experience the true wonderfulness, for lack of a better term, that is watercolor. I'm just all kinds of water soluble media now that I am so just in love with, because, well, because of how it reacts and how it works. And just like, I mean, Steve Mitchell, if you guys don't know who Steve Mitchell is, Steve Mitchell has a channel here on YouTube, The Mind of Watercolor. Steve is wonderful. He is a great teacher. Excuse me. He has a, if watercolor is something that is of interest to you, he's a great channel to check out. So let me just give a huge shout out to him. I'm sure that I'm not sending a stampede of people to his channel, but I'm just saying he's definitely worth looking at if you are interested in watercolor. I'm like trying to get myself squared away here as I'm talking to you for where am I going to want to put this stuff, because I know I need extra space, and I need to make sure I have the spots to set stuff. Okay. Oh my gosh, he's still sitting here. I still have got, Pumbaa, the not a warthog elephant, sitting there. I still want to do that elephant, and my little bird from the other week was with that. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to show you how to do a tree like that. They're so simple. So simple. But really, with watercolor, I went there. I gravitated towards it because I felt so tight. I mean, I felt tight in my acrylic painting. And I just felt like I couldn't get loose. And I will say, though, that since I have painted with watercolor, I am not afraid now to just slap on, a brush stroke of acrylic paint and see what happens. So it's been great for me. That's a whole lot to say. It's been great for me. I highly recommend. Give it a try if it's something that interests you. If it doesn't bring you joy, and in the beginning, I also should say that in the beginning it frustrated the heck out of me. Because I wanted to be able to control it. And you can't. You can to an extent. You can learn your water control, which I'm still learning, and you can learn so much about how watercolor works so that you can understand how to guide it to do what you want it to do. But just know, like I started to say, Steve Mitchell, he hit the nail on the head. Mind of Watercolor. That's the name of his channel. It has a mind of its own, and it will do what it wants to do, and you just have to let it go. Oh my gosh, yes. The spontaneous landscapes. Oh, yeah. Can I put that up there? Because Mind of Watercolor, that is the name of Steve's channel. And go for it. Look up, Joseph, you have a 5-minute art challenge to do. Maybe you should check Steve out if you haven't seen him already. His spontaneous landscapes. Oh my god, I did his class with him that he did with Etcher Labs for the spontaneous landscapes because I was like, oh my gosh, I have to be able to sit here and pick his brain and go over this. So yeah, I did that. Like, gosh, that was early on in pandemic. Or maybe it was even before. Maybe it was like 2019 I did that. I don't know. It's been some time, but... And I still... Have you guys seen me do a spontaneous landscape? No, because I have still yet to master. And it's spontaneous. It's like, what is there to master? So this is actually me. Today, one of the things I'm showing you is actually me kind of starting to branch into that spontaneousness and just let it be what it is. Of watercolor. But I love them. I agree with you 100%. Starving. They are wonderful. All right, so for our beach, the first thing we're going to do, and I have a 4x6 piece of paper. So if you have watercolor, pigment, powders, brusho, the ones that I shared with you before, the color burst, so the color burst powders, if you have any of them that you have. Wow. You're going to want something that is going to resemble your beach sand. Sorry. Something that's going to resemble your beach sand. And we're going to start there. Now I'm going to do mine similar to this, where it's kind of the waves coming in kind of at an angle. So we'll have the angle. And we're going to put the water down first. Then we're going to put some powder in a certain way. And then we're going to come back with our brush. And then we're going to let it be. We're not going to fuss with our brush. We're not going to spend a lot of time with our brush. The key is, because you see how I got like actual textures and spots where more pigment landed in. We want that, okay? Because we want it to have kind of a natural look, but we're going to want it to kind of take on. So I said the grape and the orange is what I'm using for, because those were colors that came in the box. I'm sure like I could just go grab sepia. I used sepia on that sand from the, how many times am I going to tell you? Because I'm looking at Color Sparks, and they're not Color Sparks, Color Burst powders, which I have a video using them on. We did those once before, so. Whether those or even Brusho, I have colors in Brusho that I haven't even shown you guys yet. They're beautiful. Whatever you want, just pick a color for your sand. Pick the color you're going to want for your water. If it has, so like here, I just grabbed the turquoise, but you see in the water, I have different values. I'm going to show you exactly how we get that. We will get there. So first, I'm just taking, and this is actually my number 8 Silver Black Velvet. I wanted something a little larger than the number 6 Princeton Heritage. I just wanted a thirstier brush to start with. So we're going to use that first. And I'm going to lay down this water. And now I'm going to think where, if I want my beach to be here, I'm going to want to go just slightly further so that it's going into where I'm going to want the foam to be. All right, so I want to travel into the area where I'm going to want the sea foam to be. So I'm just going to lay down and see this. I knew that this could be a problem because of that grape, but we're actually going to use grape, so hopefully it will just kind of blend through and it won't be an issue. All right, so here's where I'm thinking my beach is going to be, and it actually helps you guys see it a little better. But I am going to go just a little further than that to where I think I'm going to want like the sea foam to carry over into. Now, to do our beach, now that this is wet, that sounds great. He's wonderful. He is wonderful. Oh my gosh, he's great. And I'm just checking out. Oh, okay. Yeah. See, that is, and I know I put this down. I should already be working, but I'll come back. I'm going to come back. I'm going to leave it on that question or a statement that Cat's Art Picks made, and I'm going to come back to it. So now, all right, my paper is wet. I'm going to I'm putting that brush up because I'm going to come back with my number 6 round. I'm going to take some of the orange because I know I want to mix this, and it's sand. I don't need a lot of pigment for this. Little pigment. This is not a huge space. So I'm going to just tap. Okay, so I get a ton of it. You just need a little because it's, yeah. And these things happen, so it is what it is. So we just go with that. I wanted like this because I knew, and I'm just capping that so I don't make a mess. And I'm going to come back with just a tiny, hopefully this time actually a tiny bit of the grape. I know I won't need much of that one. I don't know, we might end up having some really dark beach sand, and that's okay too because it's going to look like, have you seen beach sand when it's wet, right? It's darker. So just go with it. So now that I put the powder down just like that, I was trying not to put it too close up here because I want it kind of light under where the foam is going to be, but I want it under the foam. So now just with a wet brush, this is the number 6 round. The brush is wet, just tapped it off on my water cup, and I'm going to come in through here, and I may have to pick up more water because I'm going to want this to kind of mix and blend. So just coming back for more water. Right, there we go. I want this color to blend, and I'm not seeing the grape. Like, it just absorbed right into that paper. Look at that. Which is fine. It's going to give me, I'll get like that pebbly, like grainy sand, if you would, texture. I want just a little, I'm just going to pick a little bit of the grape up off the plate because I want to get that a little browner. I could just take the grape and drop it back in, but since I have that on the plate, I'm just grabbing that. Okay, so, and remember, most likely this is going to dry a bit lighter. Watercolors usually do. Okay. So there we go. And again, if it's darker through here, like right in this area here, we don't mind because sand, where the water has just receded off of it, is darker. So we don't mind that at all. Just let it be. So I'm going to let that set. I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm just cleaning up the water and extra off the edge. Now, if I was not painting another painting, I would either hit this with my heat tool and dry it because I want this completely dry before I move on to the ocean. So I would either hit that with my heat tool and dry it, which we may, when I come back, I will end up hitting that a little bit. But I'm going to move on and start the other one so that we're going to kind of work on all 3 at the same time so that we can have them drying. So just know, if this was the only painting you were doing, at this point, you would be drying this or going to get a snack, doing something else around the house, whatever, and then come back to it. So I'm going to set this one to the side for a moment, and I'm going to grab my next one. And so this one, we can do the floral or we can do the tree. They're both done very similarly. Okay, so both very similar. We're going to want the most time for our ocean. So we're going to kind of do the floral is just like, so we're going to start with the tree. I'm going to do the tree. That has part that needs to dry. And the floral, I can just do the floral from start to finish and come back, circle back around. So that's the way that I'm going to do that. But Cat's Art Picks said, when she first started painting with watercolor, was putting down way too much and not enough water. And yes, like especially if you're using tube watercolors. So if you've never used watercolors before, tube watercolors may not be the best choice, only because you will most likely use way more watercolor than you will need. Letting that dry down, as long as they are of quality that you can squeeze them into pans and let them dry down without them cracking. And then if it is a paint like that, there's ways around that too. But anyhow, not today's video. But if you'd like to know something about that, just drop me a comment, let me know. But if you're using them from like dried half pans, then chances are you're not going to use as much. So, okay. Thanks for joining us as long as you could, Dylan. So yes, more water, a little bit of the watercolor is definitely all you need. Oh, thank you. I love hanging out with you guys. Love hanging out with you guys. Excuse me. We just have such a great group of people that show up on a regular basis, and it is so much fun. I absolutely love hanging out with everyone. So let's look at, for our tree. So same thing. I'm going to use those same colors that I just used because trees are brown. But I'm going to use more grape because I want it darker. So more grape versus orange. So I'm going to start with, for this one, actually, I'm not going to start with the trunk because we need to do this in 3 stages. So I'm going to start with the top. Now, if this is going to be, let's say we're painting, it could be an apple tree, or it could just be a tree that with flowers. Trying to think of our colors. I think I'm going to use the grape and the color sparks. Do you guys say that? Bougainville. Bougainvillea. Bougainvillea. See, again, I'm just like, looks like bougainvillea. It looks like I want that to be 2 words so that I can break it down better. Anyhow. So we're going to start there with our grape and that. And I'm thinking like a tree that's got like, kind of like this, right? A pink or purple flower or whatever. Because even though it is not spring, but this would be a great project to do in the spring when all the trees are blooming and flowering. So all you're going to want to do for this is you're just going to be messy with your water. Think about the shape that you want your tree to be, the upper part of your tree. Leave some space where you don't put water on the paper because, that's where maybe, unlike mine that took on a life of itself and just grew massive, it would be nice to be able to put some branches up through that tree. So we're just going to come in with water and I'm just going to pull this down and I'm just kind of jumping around, just thinking like basically the shape of the top of a tree, which I know that this is hard. I need to come up with a way that's easier for you guys to, and myself to see, because from the side view, and I have all my studio lights above are at their brightest, but it's like I have to kind of lean sideways to try and pick up. All right, I'm just going with that. So I've kind of went with, if you can okay, you see, there are spots that I have not touched on the paper. And basically I made like in that area, top of a tree, thinking like a deciduous tree, one of the trees that loses its leaves. And now I'm just going to come in with the grape, right? And just kind of, whoa, that was a bit there. Tap a bit in, and then it's probably way more than I need. But then I'm going to come back with a little bit of this one. I'm just kind of tapping. So I will say that of the, because all 3 of these have kind of like a different, how they deliver the pigment from, of course, with Brusho, I poked a hole in the top of mine. Or you can take the lid of the pot off. I'm just going to take my brush here and kind of sling those back towards the, where the water is. All of these have a different way that the pigments leave the packaging, if you would. And so far, I will say that so Brusho, like you can peel the top off and then the pot, you know, that whole lid can come off, or you can poke a hole in it and then you're tapping it right out of that little hole. But you can't see to be like precise. And see, we just let this kind of do its thing. So the color burst, they are very similar to what the color sparks were. I like that you can see them like that. And then these are actually look almost a bit larger for the signature ones from Sketchbox. With Brusho, though, I could get a large amount of pigment out at once without it, you know, poof. Bougainvillea. Thank you. Thank you. Bougainvillea. See, I was like, it's like Bougainvillea. Bow. That's bow. It's not boo. It didn't have two O's. So, Bougainvillea. See, like, I think bow, I think B-E-A-U. Bow. And B-O-U, I would think like boo, like a ghost. Boo. Anyways. So, we got that out of the way, right? I'm just going to give a little fine mist. And the reason I'm doing this is so that that water can land. And if there's any other pigment powder that's there, it's going to activate it. And by having this fine mist, and I'm not spraying hard and I'm spraying from a distance, I'm just kind of keeping this dry. Just because I don't want extra water on it right now. It really wouldn't matter. All right, so that's enough because I'm seeing it's going to start causing some puddling and pooling, and it's not necessarily what I want. I'm actually going to take the little filbert that they gave me, and just some of these areas here where it's like heavily concentrated, I'm just going to kind of mix that around just because I know when I go to do the next step, I'm going to need that to be blended after what I did on the last one. So some of these areas where there's like, see, that's like really dark. I mean, who knows? That'll be, I don't even know. I don't know. Maybe it'll end up being different sections of the tree. I'm not sure. But again, no rhyme or reason. We're just I'm just going to let them do their thing. That brush is quite small. I don't know what we were painting with that other than, I mean, it's very small, tack on, lots of snap to that brush. Like, I think that'd be great for really tiny acrylic painting. I'm sure it has its place. I actually want to, like, a couple of these areas where it's really got a little too much water, I'm just going to, like, absorb a little bit of that with the tissue, which is fine. Once you see how this all comes together, if you do this and you get areas like that and you go, oh, that's just going to end up being too much. Too much at the end. Adjust it. And then we're just going to kind of let that do its thing now as I keep blotting out some of the darker. I just want it to be bright so that it'll come through on the next layers. All right, I'm going to set that aside. And I'll come right back to that one next because before I move on to the ocean, I'm going to want to put the trunk in at the base of the trunk. So we're going to start there. All right. So now let's talk about a floral. This would be hopefully this is going to be so easy. And I think maybe I might do the orange. Where's that sheet? I'm thinking the orange and the bougainvillea. Right here. See, I'm going to say boo. It's going to happen. So anyways, I'm thinking those two. Grape, maybe, but grape kind of got really dark on the tree there. And that's a little... Because I think it's so much of it had spilled and it's in the cap and it's on the thing. Once I clean that off, I think I'll have more control over that. But I think this might even be a nice color. But... I'm really thinking those two. And a little bit of the orange. So here we go. So for floral, just think flowers when you're putting down your water. It's going to be random. We are going to put this in. It can be, you can actually like You could do some shapes if you want to. And I'm just using the 6 round, the Princeton Heritage. I can just, I'm going to big old water drop, not that it matters. I'm just putting in some very random, just random marks. Maybe. Oh, okay, that was a big drop. I was going to try to do just like a little drop. All right, is what it is. So just now that we put that down. Oh, good. See, I'm glad. That's what I was hoping. I was that somebody else is going to have these and be like, oh, I have to try that. All right, I'm going to start with the pink. And again, I'm put so many marks down there, so not recalling what's where. I'm just going to come through and kind of randomly put some in. And then. See, it comes off, like so much comes off. I definitely need to brush that off because those are going to be so dark. I'm not going to care for it, but. And I said a little bit of the orange. There's a little orange in here somewhere. And maybe it'll, well, okay, or a lot of orange. Like that, a lot of orange. Be careful how you tap it. Just go a little too much. It's okay. I'm just putting more. And this one, sometimes it'll feel like putting the cap on top so I can't have it puff. You said it. You said and then. That's hilarious. Oh, I love it. I don't want to squeeze the bottle. I'm trying to just tap because I know it's... All right. And now I'm just going to give it a spritz. Doesn't look like a floral, does it? I've seen these done a few ways, people that actually to do these. Right? I don't want to get too heavy-handed with the water. I just want it to kind of be. And now I am going to just kind of let that, I'm going to let it be and we're going to see. I just want to kind of move that one about a little bit. I didn't want it rolling back this way. So with this, like if I had right here, perhaps, and I'm just going to work, I'm going to just go right to work on this one because, like I said, we could probably do the floral just in one go. Our navy blue, I said, was actually look more like turquoise. I'm actually going to put some of this or a lot of that on the plate. These come out really easily. So much more, yeah, much easier than the others that I've used. A lot more easy. I was going to say a lot more easier. All right, so there we go. I just mixed up that yellow that I had with the turquoise because we're going to make some greens. I kind of like the that more muted green I'm getting right there. All right, so taking that green, I can start with like maybe pulling down. There's a stem. I will say that that brush does not, because it definitely has the snap, but it doesn't have that, like, it snaps right back. It's just a little stiffer than... Say my silver black velvet brushes. Sorry. See, I was like concentrating there and just absolutely lost it. I'm just thinking like a bouquet. So I'm just going to bring some of this up. And I'll address like some of the other, to maybe get some a little bit more definition. And things looking like maybe they actually are flowers. That mixed with the orange here, and I got another, even more different. I cannot talk today. Another, different green. Maybe I have some leaves back in here. And I know that these colors are going to mingle, and I'm okay with that. I'm just going to let them kind of do what they're going to do. Some, like, right here, I almost want to see, like, this almost makes me think, like, it could be, like, a bud. A bud that hasn't opened yet. And we'll just kind of let that go right up into it there. Almost like, like a carnation that hasn't opened. And you just want to see, like, what do you get? What do you start to see jump out at you and run with that? So, again, talking about, like, spontaneous landscapes and such. Definitely. It's like spontaneous florals. Just dropping in some darker color at the base of some of these leaves. And I'm thinking, like, okay, this is probably, like, right? We could say that that's one. And at any time, I can grab the heat tool. I can dry this. I'm just wiping my brush off because I want to be able to pull this through and keep that on top. Pushing that one behind. So while it's still all wet, I can do all kinds of stuff with this. So there, and I'm thinking maybe right here, maybe again, just mixing up stuff that's on my palette. And as I pull my brush through, I'm pulling up some of the colors from here, and I don't mind that at all. So maybe there's the base. Here's a flower. So at any time I can grab the heat tool, I can dry these, and then I can come back and define things. I could come back with I could come in with a pigment liner and just take that pigment liner and create. And you don't even need, when you work that way, I don't even need for this to look like it. I can put the shape of whatever that flower is that I'm thinking in my head, and boom, now it's going to look like that. Like here, looks like a darker center right here. And maybe this, I go like this here, and then right here, and pop that center, and maybe that looks like a yellow and orange pansy because I lined it that way. So now it's going to look that way. So certainly you just run with it. Like this here, like it just looks like a big old puffy flower up there. I know that this, I can even pull some of this up. Now, this is where, here's the difference. This is a great way to demonstrate to you guys. So here we go. The brush is clean. Here's the Princeton Heritage. If I come in and I want to like absorb some of that water, and I touch that and then I lift my brush to take some of that away. So you see how much I got off of there. That's a Princeton Heritage. Why? And that's a number 6. So I'm going to grab my Silver Black Velvet, which is a 6. This is not, I'm going to rinse that in my cup because it wasn't wet. So we need apples to apples here, right? So I just took that out of the water, dry that off. And now if I were to come in here with this one and lift that up, like, you see the difference? It's a thirstier brush. It's just a thirstier brush. It'll hold more water. It will hold more pigment. And there's definitely a reason. It has a great, the spring, the snap is not as much as the Heritage, if you see that. And these, of course, today, because I wasn't planning on actually using all those today, are not linked in the description, but they usually are. Any of my other videos. You see, this has like a much faster and a sharper snapback. Just like, boom, right back. So that's the difference. Just in case anybody was wondering. Personally, I love, the Silver Black Velvet, one of my favorites. But I could do this. If this was the only brush I had, if I didn't have a Silver Black Velvet, that doesn't matter. There we go. Now see, like this here, like, I don't know what kind of flower is a tall, maybe that's like a couple snapdragons in there. I love snapdragons also. So, you just don't know. It can be anything. Let your imagination just, right? We're artists. Let it go. Let it do. This almost looks like here, you see that? If I let this kind of, if I encourage the connection here, could almost look like I have a lily in this space too. Yeah, a spontaneous, they do, they work great for spontaneous florals. So basically, seeing there's another like darker green, and this, like the orange just keeps spilling down. I can make that stop by pulling some of that water out, right? If I go that way and lift some of that water out and get the green out of there. But chances are, as long as it's still wet and moving, it's still going to happen. It's just going to be what it wants to be. And that's the thing, like that was the hardest thing for me when I started with watercolor, was letting it be whatever it wanted to be. It was like, but no, I don't want it to look like that. I don't want it to be this way. Or, I have this random in splatter. I was like, oh my God, why do people splatter their paintings? Why would you do that? Like it was perfect. And you just like slung some paint on there and put some splatters in. I totally get it now. But at the time, when I first started, I was like, I did not get it. I did not think that was very funny. I was like, no. Just kind of bringing in my green is not showing up. I wanted that to be like, again, the base of another flower, perhaps. And I'm going to carry that through. No, maybe we see that come all the way down, right? I don't know which one looks. That's almost looking almost black because the purple and the green, or the grape and the green kind of mixing. And now this is going to try to bleed and leach out into that one because I brought it down there. If I wanted to stop that, I would have to back that off like right away. Chances are there's a lot of water there. It's going to move. And again, it's just learning to control our water. And that's the best hope I have at slowing that down or making it quit. So here, like this one actually almost started to look like it was starting to get like that rose shape. And I could take, I don't think I have grape that's just, well, I guess I do, kind of. But that grape is so not attractive for a flower. I don't know. Thank you, Cat's Art Picks. All right. See there. So you can mix them up on a palette. Make whatever color that you need. Now I've added that water. I always like, do you guys like do that? My palette, I can't just like, oh, I want this color right here, so I mix it right there, and it's just right there. I mean, unless it's contained within a half pan or a pan, forget it. And here I'm just thinking, like I had that, you saw when I first put the water down, I was having like a rose shape. So maybe there's a rose. And I am almost at the point where I'm just going to be done with this and just kind of let it be. And I may come back. I may come back through and do other stuff to, like, once it's dry, like maybe do some line work. Now, doing things like this too, like, okay, what am I going to do with this, right? If I'm not painting this for any purpose other than this could be very relaxing for you. Like when we get to the, finish the parts on the ocean one, I can tell you, I know I will be coming back through and doing more on that because doing the seafoam is so very relaxing for me. Yeah, I don't know which leaves go that way, but that one does. Could be like the grasses. Oh, maybe they're just a bunch of wildflowers somebody picked. So if I have one there, maybe I have one up here. And it's like, I'm not feeling balanced. Like I'm feeling like I want something here, but then it's like, I don't know. Don't know. And I don't necessarily think everything needs to be. I put that brush right in my way. I have my paint pot and it's holding all of my, you can see a little bit of the green right up in the corner. Hello, Samuel Moose. Welcome to the channel and thanks for joining us. Thank you. All right. So, and I can even I want a little bit more green, right? We were just talking about the whole splattering. And I want to just kind of mute that down. I took some of the grape and mixed that together just to mute that green a little bit. Right? And maybe I want to protect where my rose is. But maybe I just want some more. Just kind of put some of that color. And that might be all it takes. Just, hey, can I get a little bit more of that color in there? And then, of course, that's going to, I dropped it there, but I don't really want it there. So just lifting that out of that flower real quick. There we go. I'm just going to let it be. Hello, Allie. Welcome to the channel. Couple names I've seen for the first time. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so there you go, guys. There's one of them. And I can take the heat tool and go over that, or I can just leave it. You know, and just kind of look. Like I'm looking in the monitor, I'm going, oh well, maybe some more green here or there. You can do that all day long. At some point, you just have to say stop, right, and just let it kind of be what it is. So I'm gonna let that kind of finish doing its thing, and you know, we'll take a peek at the very end and see what comes of it. So back to the tree that we were working on. So now we're going to put in the trunk of the tree. So this is not dry. That's still bubbled and my paper still feels cool to the touch. So thank you. Thank you. And hello and thank you to Samuel Moose. All right. So for the trunk of the tree, I said the grape and the orange. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to grab my number 8 round again from my silver black velvet. I don't mind if, oh, for this, Samuel, no. For this, no. So as far as a protective clear coat, and I will show you exactly why afterwards, if I spray anything on top of this, I am going to mess those colors up and I am going to move it. A very, very fine mist, maybe after it's completely dry, but I don't know that is really going to be your best option. For something like this, if you absolutely love it, I would just put it behind glass. Mat it, put it behind glass. Because that's going to be your best bet. Put it in a plastic sleeve to kind of protect it other than that. They sell the archival sleeves and you can just slide them in clear plastic and it won't, you know, yellow your paper or anything like that. And that's going to be your best bet as far as protecting it for longevity. But if I wanted to put this on the wall, I'm going to mat it, I'm going to put it behind glass, and I'm just going to let that be. So, and you will see why. Stick with me and you will see exactly why I say that. Because I'm going to show you what happens when I spray stuff on top. Okay. So for my trunk, I'm just going to think tree trunk, guys, right? And it's going to come down here. I'm not touching where the pink is. I'm just kind of coming down here and I'm not trying to fill in all the space. I'm just kind of dragging down my general, this is my trunk shape, right? Maybe I want the roots to go. It's going to take on a life of its own. Just, that's it, right? Boom. And that one has a bump right here. I don't know. Maybe that one has a burl. Lou would like that one. Turn a bowl out of it. Well, not from the live tree. Okay, so my orange, I'm going to put down just a little bit. I'm going to, again, I don't get just a little bit. That's one thing I can say I don't like about these. That comes out way too easy. So that one comes out way too easy. This one doesn't want to come out, which I suspect there's just a bigger piece of pigment that's stuck in there. And I'm going to do the grape. There we go. All right. So now that that's on there, because I wanted that brown, I know I have more grape than the yellow, and I'm just going to come through and I still have this silver black velvet, but you see here, I do not want to go too much. I'm going to bring this down, get my shape the way I want it. And you see how I'm getting darker values and lighter values. I very much want to leave that alone. The more I brush through this, and I know I just want some darker at the top, so I'm kind of pulling it up and leaving it there. But the more that I brush through this, the more I'm going to even out the colors that I've gotten. And this is like some big old wonky base of this tree. I know. However, maybe, just maybe, this tree has a branch that comes up this way. Right? And now maybe his base is going to make a little bit more sense. And possibly it has one that wants to come up and support this side of the tree. Right, there we go. Allie, to answer your question, I do not really know. I have not had, I have not To tell you what we're talking about there, I don't know. Maybe this is like, oh my gosh, see how that's dark? I mean, you see how now I'm like looking at this and going, oh, okay, what can I make that be? And maybe I want to pull it down this way a little bit more just to get the dark to go a little further. But I'm not going to mess with it too much. That's it. I'm going to leave it alone. Okay, so that's all I'm doing on the trunk. I have it basically set, and now I'm going to let that dry. So while that one is drying, and again, if you weren't doing the other projects at the same time, you could dry this with your heat tool and go right on to the next step, which would be our final step. But we're going to just let this set to the side for a moment. And I know I took more time on my flowers than I should have, but we're going to run a little bit longer, but sorry, apologies. When don't we run longer? All right, you ready for this? The ocean. The ocean part. I cannot wait. Okay, so remembering that my navy blue looks like turquoise, and my turquoise looks like navy blue. I keep those like closer to the sand, further away from the sand. All right. I couldn't say yes or no. I haven't had time to watch or see. And Joseph brushing, taping, and spreading. She sure does. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I would have to go look them up and, consume some content to be able to answer that question. Okay. So, here we go. Going to take the water, and this is getting a little dirty, so I'm going to actually just come up here to my rinse well where I have clean water, clean-ish water. Sorry, it was not wanting to come out of there because I want clean water for this. So now when we do the water part, okay, we're going to take and we're going to put the water down. We want to wet this whole area where we know that we want the it to be, where we want the ocean to be. So we're going to wet all of this area. And then, are you ready for this? I'm going to turn this around just so I can really get a better look at it. So we're upside down. So now we're going onto the beach, okay? I want to, as I work this, you see I've only come to just before. I haven't touched where that is yet. But now, I just don't want to bang those. I'm going to overlap about as much as I want my sea foam to go. So for me, it's only to right about right there. Okay? So one more time, I'm just going to come down through as I wet where the ocean is. And I've just dipped my brush in the clean water. I'm going to come down through. Now, what's going to happen with this when I just did that? By me pushing to there and putting water on this space, you see it's starting to get lighter. The other thing that is going to happen in that space, and here it comes, it's starting to happen. We're going to form a darker edge. So you see here, it's going to start to form a hard line. Now, if I show you the one that I did, what I use that line for is we'll get to the point where we put the water down. The hard line that you end up with, that's the shadow under your sea foam. That's going to be the shadow under the foam. Okay? It's going to paint itself. So basically, I just had to do that part. Now I need to drop in. So still, I'm going to keep working this way. So we're going to have our wave rolling on this way. The one that looks more navy blue, I'm going to want to have back here. So all I'm going to do is tap in a little. Can we get a little bit? Okay, so a little bit. That's a little bit more than a little bit, but that's fine. A little bit of that there. And then I'm going to take the turquoise. And I did mine just in turquoise. Okay, so just turquoise color. And I'm going to come in here with the more turquoise one. And I'm going to put that through. Now, we are not going to overwork this. That is the most important thing. We are not going to overwork this. I am going to take my size 8 round again. And just because it's a juicier, it's a thirstier brush. It's going to have more water in it. And I'm going to come over and I want to just kind of blend these to get my water. And you're going to see I need plenty of water because I want these to really mix on my paper. And I'll say that this is the hot press watercolor paper, and I'm not continuing. I don't want to push that really dark. Okay, thanks, Cat's Art Picks. I don't want to push that, so I'm rinsing my brush out. I'm going to come back with clean water because I want it to be less, and I'm going to come right back here, and I'm going to come into that with clean water. So I get just a little bit that's going to start to go over that area. And you see we're starting to get this darker section. Again, this is just a clean brush because I want that to kind of go onto the beach there, but it doesn't need to fill the whole space because remember I said seafoam, right? Seafoam's white, so. And then I'm going to come back. The darker area, I need this to be a little more blended. They have more pigments making up this color. I don't mind if I want this area that's darker. So that I do want, because if you look and see, there was my darker band that I had before, which is why we put the pigment through here, because that's going to make this darker band where the wave is lifting. So that's like the underside of our wave. And that's what it's going to be. And above that point, you are going to want, again, clean brush. Now this time I'm tapping my brush. Not squeezing the water out, I'm just tapping it. And I'm going to come through and I want to lift a little bit of color. I want to lift a little bit of that color. And I'm going to turn this around now because where I brush, I will push, right? Where I brush towards, I'm going to push the color. So here, I'm going to push the color. See how I'm moving it backwards? I want it back further. There looks like we've got where that's light. That's going to make a nice looking wave that's that's coming over to crash. Cat's Art Picks, have a great weekend. Okay, again, I'm just pulling out. So now that I have that dark line formed, I'm going to pull out, lift a little bit, just so that I will have the top. What'll be the top of my wave? Okay, and I'm going to let it be. I'm going to let it be. You see how this kind of is coming over here? That's fine. That is absolutely fine. And in fact, I can come back through and even encourage a little bit more, right, to come through. See, I'm getting some green color, but it's all right. Once we get to the next stage, it's all going to make sense. All right. So now I want to let this be. Again, I'm just one more pulling out. I know I want some light, a little bit of a light area. So where we have that nice dark, I'm going to want a little bit of light above that. So just going to lift a little bit more of that, just so you guys can see that. Right? Maybe through here. And I'm already seeing where this right there, that's going to help me have another wave right here. Maybe this is, you know how they roll and the waves will roll. And maybe it's rolling over here and it's rolling over here, but it hasn't quite met in the middle yet where it all comes over. That's what I see right now. So just looking for a light area over a dark area. That's all you want. And then just let the rest blend backwards. Okay, I'm going to set that to the side and I'm going to let it do its thing. We're going to come back to the tree because this needs to set for a moment. And actually, this does need to, and look at, see how this has pushed out here? Okay, I don't know why that popped up. Okay, so you see how this has pushed out here? Again, it doesn't matter. We don't care if we get little blooms out here because that's going to be seafoam that's just creeped up a little bit further on our beach. So don't let anything like that bother you. And again, that's your shadow that'll be under your seafoam. The only other thing we need to do is, as this sets for a minute, we're going to want to come back in and I'm going to take and I'm going to protect the painting. I want to protect this part of my beach. So I'm just putting something over, and I'm not, it's not pressing. This isn't going to negatively impact it by me setting that there. And the other thing that I want to protect, and I will use, you can use anything. You can use a sheet of paper. So I can use right here. I'm going to brush that salt off because I don't want that landing. I don't want that landing on it. So if I take the piece of paper, right, and I can take salt, or I can just use water. Water seems to work really well, which is what I was testing here. So when I put the salt, you see I got marks like this. Too much salt is going to give me a large area. But when I did just misted the water, you see the look that I got there? If that will focus on that, boom. The water is what I need in this case. So I'm going to take, and I'm going to cover that because I don't want it to happen up here. I only want it to happen in that area where my seafoam is going to be. So I'm going to cover this space. I'm not going to press too hard. And I'm just going to come in and let some water mist down over that. Not too much. I just want a little bit. Let it be. Take these off. We're going to let that set. So now what will happen is, I'll let you see that for a moment. It will start to make little circles where the water touched it. Which is why I was saying, if your painting is dry, you're not going to want to miss something over top. And that's going to become more evident in a second when we do the tree. So now that I've spritzed that on there, I just need it to sit and do its thing. Right? Like this is still not quite lightening up as much as I'd want. And so one more time, like, and it might not. It might not get lighter. There might be too much pigment there that just wants to keep pushing back through, and it's not going to lift. And that's fine. I know if I come in with more water, it's going to push a bloom out, and I don't want that to happen. So, and that's the reason I just went over that. It's because I want to make sure that I don't cause a bloom. And that would be by coming in with a brush that has more water on it. If it has too much water and I put more water than pigment, it's going to push the pigment away. If you have water and you come in with more pigment than water, then the pigment's going to want to swoosh out through the water. And I'm just going to get rid of that nasty little, can we make artwork like with our, check those out? Like, see things, do you do that afterwards? Like, oh, what did it end up making? Like, I just don't even know. Okay. So I'm going to set that one aside, and I'm going to bring our tree back up. And so now, here's where, this was the fun part to me. This is where it happened kind of by accident. And so in doing the tree next, I really want the green. So I have the green that I have mixed here, and we'll just use some of that. And in fact, I'm going to add a little bit more of the orange because I don't want it as much turquoise as I do green, you know, what I think of when I think of the green leaves. I'm like, wait a minute, that was supposed to be orange, but there was a ton of powder there. Yeah, there was a ton of powder there. There's a lot of green. And it's still, even with that, it needs to be desaturated because see how bright that is, which is fine for some of it. So I'm going to desaturate it with the bougainvillea that is here on the plate. That's what I'm going to use to desaturate it. Just palette mud, if you would. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come through. Make sure I get, okay, it's moving. I didn't think my chat was moving for a second. All right. So my water, that's very green now. Because I want this just a little bit. I could pour that right into a pan. This, now that I have this much of this green, I need to paint something that's green. I could just pour this into a half pan and preserve it. It will dry, and that's fine. Next time I want to use it, it would be ready for that. So for this tree, we want this to be wet. The key is that this has to be wet, but not too wet that we're causing all kinds of weird blooms and pushing our pink away. It's a delicate balance. So I've got a nice juicy mixture. This is like, I would say that's like ink. It's like an inky mixture. And I'm just going to come through, and I am not pressing. I am not pushing on this. I am not scrubbing. I am not trying to activate the layer that's underneath it. I'm just trying to put in what will be some of the green for my tree. And I watched Joseph do his tree last Monday, and I was like, that's brilliant. Like, at first I was like, where's he going with this? And then I'm watching it unfold, and I was like, oh, I like it. I liked it a lot. And again, that is way more than I need. I am not going to let all that mix in with this. But I did want a little bit more that color. That's what I was looking for. There we go. Right? I'm going to just give this, I don't even want to give it a mist yet. Not yet. Not yet. So going over the top. Again, I'm not scrubbing. I'm just kind of dabbing this where I want it, because when I go to the next part, I want that pink and the purples to still be under there. Right? And I didn't leave room for branches because, again, my tree just took on a life of its own and it's just going crazy. Oh. Samuel, to answer your question, Mr. Ross and I used to spend our weekends, is that a Saturday or Sunday afternoon? I used to watch him all the time. But I wasn't watching him on YouTube. I was watching him on PBS. I think that's what channel he was on back when I was younger. My dad used to watch him. And of course, so if my dad watched him, I would watch it with my dad. And absolutely love for painting. Definitely. And art in general. Well, I mean, not really. I mean, I loved watching, or I loved creating before that. But definitely had an impact in, and I'm just going to splatter. Just splattering some of the green. I'm probably going to get it everywhere. But I know that even just by doing this splatter, I'm about to make some of the things happen that I want to happen. And I don't care if it goes beyond. I just want to keep it up above, you know, into the top of my tree. Okay. So now, here's where it happens. I just see it pooling right here, and I just want to pull some of that out. I think that what Bob Ross did for the art world was wonderful. So many artists, I think, can say that they, I'm just pulling down a little bit of texture here, because, you know, the bark's, it's not smooth, right? So it's going to have some texture. So I'm just pulling down some lines to indicate, like, the bark. And just doing this, you're going to see it'll start to have an effect on that. But yeah, I think he definitely had an impact on quite a few artists. And their love of painting. All right, so now for this, you're going to want to protect the trunk of your tree. Now, I just use this. I use this because it was you know, shiny plastic. So I want to protect the trunk of my tree. I'm just going to cover that up. And I'm going to take my fine mister, and I'm just going to give a spritz. Not too much. You can see it's already starting to happen. I don't want to overdo this, and I want to watch. If I see that I'm not getting quite the effect that I want to have, I can come back through here Yes, exactly, Joseph. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. That's exactly what I was trying to say. Like, he didn't make me appreciate art more, but he absolutely made me interested in painting. I was like, I want to be able to paint like that. I just want to be able to paint. And because before that, it was more like pencil work and charcoal, graphite, colored pencil, that kind of thing. Okay, so now I'm taking just a little bit of salt, because salt, as we saw, and I'm going to show you in case you missed it. All right, so I'm just going to put some of the salt in through the tree here. Because this is still very much, ooh, that was a lot of salt. And we're going to have a big old spot there. Who knows what that'll look like, but that's okay. All right. There. And we're going to let that be. Because when I did the salt earlier, and it's already started, you can already see it starting to happen. When I put the salt down here, it pulled that pigment and left what was underneath. Well, what's underneath this? Our pinks, our purples. That's what's underneath. That's why we did not want to scrub hard. We just wanted to put the color down so that when we came in with this, it was going to pull some of that back and reveal what we had underneath. Now, if we scrubbed and blended those all together and we would have mixed them, we didn't want to do that. So some of this here, like I even have some brown. I mean, maybe it's fall. Maybe fall's coming. I could have gone in with the orange, like orange and yellow, which I think would be beautiful. Orange and yellow come in with some of the green. It's going to look like your tree is, it's going to give you this effect like your tree is starting to change over and fall. It's fall, right? Create the easiest fall tree, just going to paint itself. So it's slowly starting to happen. And again, I can sit there and I go, okay, I see that, but I didn't get enough with the water spots. So I just had to make it start. Some of them, if you do like a short press, like you get bigger water drops. And sometimes that helps. But I just want small ones because it's going to push that away. And it's going to give me all kinds of different dimension in my painting. I did not check it out to find out would the, I'm just trying to get more over here. I didn't test these to see how they would react with, like, say, alcohol. If I did some alcohol. Because I do have my mister that I keep that has the alcohol in it. And always label your clear liquids if they, you know, if you use more than just water, because you just never know. See, every time I've touched this, this was all covered with, look at that. That was all covered with pigments. That's probably where I keep getting my hands all a mess. So I'm going to let this one set, and I'm going to come back, and I'm going to show it to you in a minute. So let's check our ocean. Oh, sorry if I bumped you. The arm of my chair. The arms of my chair can be down or up, and usually they're always up. For some reason, that one was down. All right, just drying this off where I sprayed that water. Okay, so here we go. And now look at what we have. Like, look at that. No. The salt, you brush the salt off. Once it dries, you brush the salt off. So for example, I had salt here and I had salt here, but then I just brushed that all off, and any salt crystals that are left are gone. And then, nope. You could even add salt. You could paint with salted water and get more granulation in your watercolor paints too. So, you know, there's always that. No, I don't. I personally do not know of. How about that's a better answer. I personally do not know of any adverse effects from long term with the salt. Okay. So now in the box also we got the Rembrandt. And this is a titanium white. And now this time I am going to move this plate out of the way because I'm done with this. The colors are finished. I'm going to set that down there. I'll use those again. And I'm going to use that one for the white. So I don't know the kind of coverage that I will get with this. It is a watercolor. I'm going straight from the tube. It does not say gouache. It says watercolor. Rembrandt. It's titanium white. Yeah, it does not say. It does not say gouache. It just says watercolor. So that you guys can see that. It is the Rembrandt. And actually here, so number 112. Right? And if I look at that, that actually says, looks like transparent. Don't mind the paint all over the fans. Come on, focus. Like, it wants to focus on my hand and not the writing. Okay. I'm going to touch the camera. Sorry. There. See? If that's transparent, I'm going to tell you, it's not going to work. Which is fine. That's when I would tell you, and I did link it below for this part, is Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. That's what that's what you would want. So I have that just in case. I need to move this dirty water out of the way so we do not go there. Did I? No, surely I didn't. Probably did. Oh my goodness, yeah, I probably did. It is quite possible. Quite possible, George, quite possible. Okay. This is the part, and I'm going to do this very quickly. I will not finish this part with you today because really I could get lost in this. I love doing the seafoam. So let's just try first coming right at it with this. Oh, that feels different too. It's like, okay, that's just different. It doesn't, it's not wanting to like blend down. It's not wanting to thin out. Not that I want it thin, but even still. Oh, we're going to find out. Okay, so again, still using that number 6. I'm just going to come right behind the edge where I have that line. Because I want to, the whole reason I did it that way was to get that dark line. And you see there's another dark line here. We're not going to worry about that either. It's all going to come into play, my friends. It's all going to come into play. So, yeah, as I come through, that's, all right, let me show you the difference. This is a white watercolor, which is, yes, transparent. All right, you're going to see through it. It has its place. Don't get me wrong. That has its place. I'm glad I have it. I will absolutely use it in other applications, just not using it in the rest of this one. Because what you want, and you can use, so, okay, if you got this box and you go, but that's, what else do I use? What else you use? If you have some bleed proof white, by all means, because that's exactly what I'm going to be using here is the bleed proof white. The, now I want to put some of this on here because I'm not going to keep going into my container. Okay. That's not, I don't want to contaminate my jar of bleed proof white. So I'm just going to get some out and I'm going to put that right there on the plate. I'm going to put this, I'm going to close that. Get that out of my way. You could use white gouache. You could even, since this is the end and where the watercolor's done, and this is not fully dry, so I will be drying this in a minute. You could even, once I would have my paper completely dry, you could even come back and use white acrylic paint. So, whether or not I want to. Yeah, just whether or not I want to. If it's a reference photo, are they in the reference photo? If they are, do I want to keep them? Do I want to omit them? If I'm painting something like this, just spontaneous, let's see, like these waves, the location of these waves have painted themselves. And see the difference with the bleed proof white? That's why it's my favorite. So I'm staying just behind, and this does not have to be perfect. In fact, don't worry about this line being perfect or precious. The seafoam isn't. If you have spent any time at the beach, you know seafoam is not all neat and perfect. And I'm going to take a little bit. I'm actually mixing it with some of that other white that was on here. And I'm thinning this down. Now, the reason that I'm thinning this down now is because I want something that's going to be a little bit more transparent, but not quite as transparent as the other. A conch shell? Yeah, a conch. I don't know. Maybe I want to like see through the water to the dome and like paint Bikini Bottom down there. Any other SpongeBob fans in the house? Look at the texture that we ended up with in the sand. See how there's like some areas got darker, some have the little speckles and spots? That's what I was talking about. Like that's why we didn't want to overwork it. And here, this is where it's going to see here. You see how I have this light area right there and then it comes into this dark area? And again, up here, I have one just kind of like that. For me, that says, oh, that used to be a wave, right? So I'm going to have my more thinned down. I let the painting tell me. So when I'm doing it spontaneous like this and I'm not working a wave like off of a reference or anything like that, I let the painting tell me. So right here, it looks like, and I'm not going over, I'm leaving that line there because I want it to be on top of what I'm about to paint. But I can come through here and go, oh, and don't try to make it all, it's seafoam. It rushes up and it gets pulled back. And as it's pulled back, it's not straight. It's not perfect. It's not neat. It just is what it is. You can't do it wrong. And it goes kind of like, right? So it's going to break up like that. Now, when this dries, because I thinned this, this is not going to be as bright as, and now I will say this though, it's not going to be as bright as the titanium, the bleed proof white that I've got up here. It does have, I say you can't do this wrong. Seafoam will have patterns. Like think of all of this rushes up and there's all this, the air and the bubbles. And as it gets pulled back, it almost like meshes out in this like pattern. If you ever, next time you're at the ocean, sit and watch it and watch as it pulls back. Watch how it breaks apart as it goes back. It's like my happy place. In fact, I need to go to the coast. Maybe this weekend. It's a little bit of a drive, but. So here again, where I told you I saw another one, it was kind of lighter. Maybe this was another spot where, you know, that part of the wave came up further and it's pulling back. Right? And it would be just kind of pulling back into, see, small ones, but then you have some that just kind of, and I'm letting the brush skip around. I'm barely touching, letting it bounce around. And I'm going to have little dots here and there. And I'm just going to let it be. Now, there was a more, natural darker area there. And just, it is what it is. Maybe there's like a little bit left residual right there. And now here's the next one coming over. So on this one coming over, I'm going to come through and I can look where I put, that's another thing. So areas where I put that, see how I have darker, almost like darker circles that stand out there from when I did the mist of water. And that, and even if you did salt, like you would have areas that get whiter than others or lighter than others. I'm going to use that to my advantage. Maybe I want like, here's a perfect little, so right here, I have this perfect little circle. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the white around that. And now that looks like a little bubble, right? And it's got the shadow in it. Just work with what it gives you. There's another one up here. You could start by going through and going, okay, I see a few of those. And I'm going to kind of ring around that. And I'm going to just kind of interconnect them. I'm going to leave spaces, right? You see, I'm just letting the brush bounce around and be jagged. And I'm going to use, notice I'm sticking to this front edge. For right now, I'm sticking to that front edge. I'm going to come around. Again, oh, that's the transparent one. I don't want that. I'm going to need that again up here, but I don't need it right now. Up close to this, I want my regular. Wetline is perfect. It makes the break line wave stand out. Yeah. So, and the other thing too is when the way that we did it, when we pushed so we could get that bloom, right? We ended up with that darker line because it pushed the pigment to the edge of the water, and that gave us our shadow. So it really lifts it up on top of it. So again, here at the front edge of the foam, it's kind of like thick and it's all rolled, and it's like thick. It just kind of rolls up on the beach. But back behind there, because now it instantly starts getting pulled back. It's like, I got there. Oh, nope, I have to go back. And so it's only like that near the leading edge. And see, this is something that I love this brush for. I can say that I absolutely love this brush for doing this work. And if some areas are thicker than the other, I don't care. If I didn't leave enough space, again, I don't care. Like, it's fine. Don't fret over it being, that was one of the hardest things for me when I started. I was like, oh, I want to paint a seascape, and I just started trying to do it, and I'd get so frustrated. Now sometimes I find it easier if I turn it so that I think of it like as the water, it's pulling back. Other times I'll sit there and I'll go, but wait, when I paint this and my brush is drying out, I need more water in my brush. So just rinsing that. I'm going to grab some of this transparent one, which again has more water in it. A little bit more paint in that. And sometimes I'll just imagine you are painting on the surface. Hey, Caution Artists at Play, how are you doing? Hello, hello. So other times when I try to paint that foam, like I'll try to do it think of it as I am trying to lay this on top of water. There's water sitting there and I'm laying it on top. Like I'm painting on that surface. I don't know why, but just when I think about it that way, it kind of helps my brain. Like it's flowing backwards on the water. So you see. And the other thing too is I have to remember, I want this to be my wave. This right here, okay, is going to be my wave that's coming around. This is about to crash. This is getting ready to dump on top of this. As this comes back, it is going to come back at an angle. So if I go straight to me, if I think the beach is coming straight onto me right now, these can come at all kinds of different angles, but when they hit the dark part and it goes curls and it goes like up the wave, it can go travel at angles, but then it's going to stop and the angle has to change and go straight up. So I want to make sure that at this point I change and I make it go straight up towards the top. So that's going to make it look like that. You see, I got thinner as I went. So I want to make sure that I'm conscious of that. Whenever I'm coming into the area where the wave is going to be, like I'm coming at an angle, but then I stop and it changes and it comes more straight up the wave. And I'm going to just kind of interconnect them, right? Just see how they kind of mingle. So you picture like a net, right? It's being pulled apart. It's stretching out. You know, so if you get like, I don't know, here in the US, so we buy like, when you buy onions, great example. They come in that bag that if you have it all together, it could look like it's one piece if you pushed it all together. But when you pull it apart, it becomes this like mesh net. Think about your phone that way. As it pulls apart, those get further away from each other. It opens up, and they do kind of take on that similar pattern. Check it out next time you're at the ocean. See how that can kind of come around, but then it's going to change, and its shape is going to kind of go up. And it's not going to come straight up. Every single one is not going to come straight up. Some are going to come like, they might come at an angle, but they're going to come up. It's going to change. If you're talking about like the ocean, George, the ocean, the water has been my happy place, my sanity place. I'm going to go here because I need to completely disconnect from everything for a moment. That's always been the ocean for me. I have always lived, in fact, right now that we're where we are in Maine, I live the furthest I've ever lived in my entire life from the ocean right now. They've always been within a certain point of being able to get to the ocean. Now, one thing I did, because I went right into this, and I can fix it. It's not a problem. So remember I said we have this line here. I can also make that so that this was another wave. So this was a wave. See, this was one wave. This was another wave. Because I got such a hard line here, that would make a beautiful other wave. And even though I painted that one right over it, it's not a big deal. I'm going to come right through here. Right? Boom. Okay. That one's behind. These, I'll just change that up and it'll look like it's part of the next. So I'm going to make this be part of that. And then what we're going to see, so I think that, like I said, I'm not going to do all of this tonight because I would be here, like I could get lost in this and, ugh. Oh yeah, there is nothing like the ocean. Yes. No, I'm not going to paint an onion bag on the beach. Oh, that's funny. Okay. So here, it's kind of breaking up because I know this is going to be, I'm going to make this be one that's crashing. The way that this just dipped down, this is just saying, this is where the wave is breaking right there. And it's rolling through the rest of the space. Okay, so if you understand the whole, when you're doing your sea foam, and I'll finish this because again, this is definitely one of my I love painting. I love painting the water. I love painting the ocean. Seascapes are one of my absolute favorites. And yeah. So you get how I'm talking about when you do this. And then see what I will do is I would just tie these in to what I have there. I'll finish this and I'll post a picture in the art group. I didn't even move, like we didn't even change scenes today because I've just been so into what we were doing. So I'm not going to continue on with like, okay, this is how we do this part of the foam, because I think you can grasp what I was saying with that. Okay. And you see how now that I have this other line, that is going to look like the shadow and it's going to look like the next wave rolling in on top. So that's going to be there. The next part is I am going to look for areas where, and again, I could have this looks like it's crashing. This looks like this is where it's lifting. This is how we tie those together. So at the back, this would be like the back of the wave. I'm going to just vary like the sun. If you've ever watched the waves as they come over and they crash, I wish I would have pulled up some video for you because I could have totally put a video like right here below me right here. And you could have seen it. I've got video and reference photos like you would not believe. Yeah. So, but when the wave comes over and you get the barrel that rolls over, you'll get glistened sparkles at the height of where that's starting to come over, and then, you know, as it's falling and you have the trails and then the big psh, and then, you know, the spray and the foam and everything that goes, right? So for the top, when I want to define the top, because here's my wave pulling back, it's curling up, we're going to make it look like, let's get that rolling wave. So imagine, right, here's my little highlights, and I'm just barely touching this with my brush right now, and this is going to come through. This area here is like, this is curling, but it hasn't started crashing yet, right? It hasn't started falling over. It is at the peak of it's as tall as it can get before gravity pulls it back down, right? That's this part of the wave. So you're going to see some here when this happens, you see some white just kind of starting to trickle because it's just getting ready to start falling down. You'd see some spray coming off the tips. And then you're like, I can't, I have to talk with my hands. And then here we go. It's going to come back this way. Boom. Here, this is where the wave is starting to, this part is already starting to come around. This is where it's crashing, right? This part's falling. It's falling down. This part here, this part of the wave, this is hitting. This is crashing into the water. So it has, this is going up into the roll. And I went down a little further than maybe I wanted to, but that's okay because I was just trying to define how this comes around based off of what it itself did. So I'm going to like tap in, and here you're not going to have as much as it comes up this area. You don't have as much because, yeah, that's falling, but it's falling. It's not crashed. It's not, there's no big, you know, splash yet. All of it hasn't churned into itself and created all the bubbles and the foam. This is going to go, I can pull very gently, right? It's the waves coming this way. You'll see some of that. Right? The waves coming like this. This part here, it's barely starting. It's like coming from this and it's just starting to come over. Same with this here, just starting to come over. This is just to get that kind of thought, that guide in my mind. The way that I show that this is lifting up is with the sea foam, what I was showing you over here. Because that is going to have, and this here, again, this, see, that's lower. This is going to be crashing. This is falling. So it's got a little bit where the surface tension, like the edge of that water, is starting to break apart. It's gravity's pulling it back down. So there's some water spray that's going to come off of that. And I'm going to go right off the edge of the page with it. You see, I'm just dabbing. I'm not being precious. I'm not worrying about it. It's starting to fall. That's it. We'll see lines. And here we actually would see a couple, like I would need some shadow. I don't have that color. I could mix that color. But again, right now, I'm not going to worry about that. I just want to show you how you would get this so that we can wrap it up. And if seeing something like this more in depth is something that you would like to see me do, then leave me a comment, because you would not break my heart to have me paint a seascape. I absolutely would love to do it. And I have got plenty of references. So see, this dried, and see how it got lighter? That's great. I can come back through, and now I have like shadows, highlights. It's not all the same, right? The leading edge of my water here, it's not quite to the bottom. It's almost there. It's not quite there. So I don't have this big, explosion of spray yet. Well, depending on, I guess that just depends on how big the actual wave is, because even some of those little tiny waves, they don't have this. But I've seen North Shore, Hawaii, winter, 30-foot waves crashing over where you realize that I have a picture and you realize the size of the wave when you realize that that little speck is a person standing on a surfboard inside there. Because of like the surfing competitions and stuff they would have in the winter. Oh, yeah. You want to talk waves. Oh my goodness. I would imagine starving probably can see some waves like what I'm talking about in Australia too. I would imagine that they would there as well. I don't know. That's just an assumption. So again, anywhere that I want to brighten that up, coming back through, and you'll find that sometimes the bleed proof white, it does, especially if you've mixed it with any water, you will get some color shift, which is fine. And I think sometimes that depends on the reworkability of the medium you're putting it over. So as this kind of starts to crash, like you're going to get up in here, little tiny bits that come off of it. And the top will get like some flicks of spray here and there. And I'm just barely touching for that. You're going to tend to have more as it starts to round to fall. Right? And so our lines, pulling lines through can indicate like the spray of the water coming off. And then our little speckles. Okay. So there we have the top of my wave. But now how do I convey that this is actually it's pulling up and there's height there? Like this, what I showed you earlier. So I'm going to show you this, and then I will, like I said, I will finish this. I will post it over in the art group. If you're not a member, I encourage you. It's on Facebook or MeWe, so whichever platform that you prefer to use, come join us, Exploring Art. So here I'm going to try to, no, I have to do it. It's funny, as I was going to turn it around, I was like, no, I have to do it this way. So here I envision like this is going along the surface of the water. And you see I just kind of let it kind of do its thing, right? Just float your brush along the surface of your painting, surface of the water. It's coming backwards, right? Coming up through here. And I use the transparent one. I want the transparent one here. This is not the whitest foam. This is like at the very tail end. It's being reincorporated into the wave. It's about to crash again. There's not as much to this one. So I want that transparent. It's already picking up that blue color. But when I get here, it's coming up the wave. So if I picture the wave, right, this is the wave. It's coming up the wave. I want it to go up the wave. So all of a sudden it comes up. I just lifted it up off the page by bringing it, just by changing the direction that it's going. So it's going around like this and then up. Oh, no, I won't either, George. I won't. When I was a kid, oh, I did all the time. Didn't think twice about it. And I'm sorry. I saw Jaws when I was younger. I know. But I never thought about it when I was younger, right? And then we get older and we go, are you crazy? No. There are things way bigger than me in there. Way bigger than me. And my lines get thinner because, again, it's pulling it. It's pulling. It's thinning. Picture like if you rolled a piece of dough, right, into a string, and when you stretch it, or like I'm looking at my kneaded eraser, as you stretch it, and it gets thinner and thinner. As that wave is stretching that foam up, it's getting thinner and thinner. So you want your lines to get thinner as they go upwards. And sometimes they can go kind of in a, so like here where it comes around, this is actually going to come through on one like that. And it's going to be pulling into this way, right? It's pulling it over because it's getting ready to come down. So it's like pulling over that direction before it flips. But again, it's thinner. It's always thinner as we get closer to the top. So I hope that helped. Yeah, exactly, Joseph. Exactly. They're like, tour bus? No problem. Bring them right over here. We call that a buffet. Oh my God. Now, see, I love to swim. And when I grew up, I mean, Northeast Atlantic coast, it's cold up here. And yeah, see, Shanna just said the same thing. It's cold up here. It is really cold. But, and I have swam in Hawaii. I've gone snorkeling in Hawaii. Now granted, where I went snorkeling, there's like a reef, and then it came into the bay, because Hanama Bay, and you were snorkeling in there, and there was a reef that, you have to be careful and be respectful of it and stuff like that. But even still, it was beautiful. But if I would have been under the water and seen something like, no, just saying. Well, when we go to the Cape, see a small grain, so Starving says that small grainer sharks at their local beach, and they just swim off when people come near. But the great whites, and that's what I'm talking about. So the great whites, they clear in an instant, right? Cape Cod, right? Cape Cod. Every time we go, like, I have to walk and put my feet in the water. Jaws was filmed right there, Martha's Vineyard, people. There's like right off Cape Cod. That's where it was filmed. Yeah. So when you go and you're swimming and you see the seal swim by, that's like, maybe 20 feet out from where you're standing at the edge of the water, and you go, no. Because seals, cute, wonderful. There are signs that say, like, don't go near the seals, leave the seals be, stay away from the seals, danger, you know what I mean? And then they are something bigger than them's lunch. And I don't want to be an appetizer. No. So yeah, it is even in, midsummer, like, sure, it warms up. What does it warm up to in this time of year? Maybe 64, 5, maybe. I'm trying to remember what it was when I was, because when I was a teenager, we used to go to the beach all the time, go swim all the time. Yeah, no. I will put my feet in, though. I have to walk on the sand. I have to put my feet in the water. I have to touch the ocean every time I go. I just don't feel the need to get into the ocean. I touch the ocean, not get into the ocean. And just sit and listen, because that is definitely my Zen place. So I will finish this one because I'm loving the way it's starting to turn out. I will post a picture of it over in the art group. So again, if you're not a member yet, do click on that. There's a link below. Join us. I'm trying to think what else we have. I'm not sure what next week is yet. It's going to be another busy week, but I'm excited. Like I said, I did a lot. I've done a lot this week. See, yeah, and it is the people, right? Educate it, absolutely, because it's not the shark's fault if I go swim where the shark lives. You don't see the sharks walking up my street. being like, hey, knocking on my door. No, but we're going into their space. We need to be respectful, right? Because we need them. We need the sharks just as much as we need, do we really need mosquitoes though, or black flies? If you're from Maine, I know Shanna can testify probably to this. We don't need black flies. I don't see what purpose they serve. I really don't. Or mosquitoes. I'd be happy for them to not exist. But who knows? They might be the little thing that binds our ecosystem together. I don't know. So anyways, Joseph, thank you. I can't wait to see what you do with the watercolor challenge. And who you might throw it to. Maybe somebody that's in the chat. I don't know. I cannot wait to see what you do. This is going to be so much fun. Oh, yeah, or ticks. Exactly. Like, what purpose do they have? So, yeah. Tara, thank you for always being here and modding for me. Both Joseph and Tara's channels are linked in the description. If you have not seen their channels yet, please check them out because they're both great and you might enjoy it. Of course, the last video I had was my 5-minute art challenge. Thanks to Tara who challenged me, and then I passed it on to Joseph, so we're just keeping that going. I can't wait to see what he does. Of course, mine was my 5-minute watercolor landscapes. I showed them at the beginning, but there they were, and if you've missed that video, it's on the channel. You can check it out. This I will finish. I will put it in the... Okay, are you ready? This really moved. There's our tree. There's our tree. That moved a lot. Remember I came back in, like, I put the salt. So this is because I put the salt. You see what the salt has done. All of these spots are because the salt pulled all that pigment. If I would have only done water, this was water. This was adding salt. So there you see the difference. Salt versus the water to make the... This was just blooms. This was water pushing blooms here, there, and everywhere where it landed. That is salt. Here, out here, water. So you see the difference. But you see that the reds and the pinks and stuff, they were coming through. So there's our little tree. And again, I can post pictures of all of these over in the art group. But you ready for the florals? I kind of keep peeking. There was our spontaneous floral. I like it. I like it. Like, it's almost like abstract floral. So don't even worry about making too much of it. Like, just that on its own. It's an abstract, right? It looks like an abstract floral. I mean, I know it's a floral, so is it abstract? Anyways, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? And I love the way it turned out. So I'm going to post those in the art group. I'll do, like, once I untape them and stuff like that. Thank you, Samuel, for joining us. I hope we see you again. We stream here every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Live. We like to test art supplies, push them to their limits, see what we can do, and there you go. If you want more like, hey, let's paint along, that is something I have available for patrons over on Patreon. And if that's something that you might like, the link is, well, oh, look, it's right there. It goes. So check that out. Other than that, thank you all for joining me. Don't forget, do the things. Check out the mods. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for joining me. And as always, I'll pop another video up right here. Right here. I always get it wrong. And you might like to check that one out next. Of course, that will be for those of you watching the replay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye.